We're going to go ahead and call the meeting to order. Start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Councilmember Armstrong. Here. Groves. Fitzpatrick. Patrick. Randall.
Here.
Walker.
Here.
Mayor Crandall.
Here. Addition or amendments to the agenda?
No, there's no changes. It's just Bruce has texted me, and we're still having trouble with the phones.
So you're going to alert everybody that
I did.
we're not getting them?
Yeah.
Okay. That's good. I'm not operating. They'll alert me. Okay, adoption of the consent agenda. Approval of the July 27, 2020 minutes. Ratification of the bills, the amount of $247,555.84.
I'll make a motion, Your Honor, to accept the adoption of consent agenda A and B.
Okay, it's been moved and second to adopt the consent agenda. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Aye.
I believe Mrs. Groves was here last week for a short time.
No, we checked with her. She didn't.
Okay, thank you.
So do you still oppose?
No, I just had that question because I thought I heard her voice earlier in the meeting.
There was another party on the phone. It was a public party that it called.
All right. So we got an aye there
No, I vote accept.
to accept it?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So that passed. Accept the consent agenda. Public hearings. Appointment to committees. First reading of ordinance number 452, defining and addressing chronic nuisance property.
This will take some explanation. We haven't had a chance to go through the staff report. The city charter does give the city condemnation proceeding, but the city charter also concedes to the state the authority that the state takes. And the state has a very specific procedure to condemn property. You have to do an appraisal first, have to then go to move to condemn the property, have to pay the fair market value, which makes it an expensive proposition. The city attorney and I were looking for an excuse or something else that might work a little better. And the city of Medford has a program of chronic nuisance enforcement, where if a property is defined as being a chronic nuisance, then there is a process that the state or the city can take to force the correction of that chronic nuisance property. So what this ordinance that you have in front of you is the creation of that chronic nuisance ordinance. It gives us some teeth for there's like 29 different activities that could be classified as a nuisance. We have 3 nuisances in 30 days, 4 nuisances in 60 days, 6 nuisances in 180 days. Then we can work with the responsible party, that's either the renter, property owner, to create a chronic nuisance abatement plan and have reports. And once that plan is in place, if it's failed to be adhered to, then we can do some things to fence the property and prevent the nuisances from continuing until it is taken care of. Again, the whole process is outlined in the ordinance. This is the first reading. It's probably the best we can do at this point in time, because again, condemning property is a very, very expensive proposition. And I'm not sure that we condemned property and we abated the property and then tried to sell the property. The first thing you have to do is give the people who own the property that you paid fair market value to the opportunity to buy it back, which could be a never-ending circle. So the best thing we can do is work on this chronic nuisance process and try it. Is there any questions?
I know condemning takes a long time. I mean, a really long time is a long process. How long does approximately would this take to, I mean, because obviously specific certain homes in town
Well,
having violated every single day.
yes, and those are the ones that you start with, the chronic nuisance.
Okay.
And you notify through legal notification from the city attorney. They've been defined as a chronic nuisance. You explain how that definition is done. You have to give them 10 days to respond to that chronic nuisance and come up with the abatement plan.
What if they don't do that?
Then that's what's next, is we take the property, I think it's the definitions. I know exactly what you
Okay.
mean. I know exactly what you mean.
Right.
And we'll have to try it.
Okay.
It would be two separate actions. It would be because it's two separate properties. But this is an approach that may work. Nothing else has worked. The problem you're going to have is these people are not going to respond. I mean, the owner of those properties are in California. And if we put a fence around and kick them
And will somebody actually arrest them and
Well,
like
again,
enforce any of this? Because it doesn't seem like a lot of stuff's being enforced
well,
to a certain degree.
yeah, and I appreciate the frustration, we all have that. But if this is in place, in the city, law, Whitaker County can enforce it, law enforcement, because it is a law, so.
So it appears in the state does not like to condemn properties. And there's been a lot of issues over the years apparently from taking properties from people
I've researched it.
through
It
condemnation.
takes a long time.
And well,
Big
they've made it very hard to do. And like Gordon says, if you do it, you gotta buy the property. And you gotta buy it at fair market value. And then they have the opportunity to buy it back once you've taken care of whatever the issues are. So yeah, you get in this here seems like at least an opportunity that becomes halfway. It's still gonna be a cost to the city, but it becomes one that if the city wants to take it on, it'd be tough enough to follow through on it. The other one, it's not a matter of being tough enough to follow through, it's having enough money to follow through on. This one is gonna cost some money too, but not on the scale of buying the property.
It's just gotten to a point where some of these areas are unsafe. It's not just annoying at this point, it's getting dangerous.
Oh, yeah, I get that. And so that's why, that's why we brought up the condemnation. And then when looking into the condemnation, we found out, well, people in general try not, because the state has made it really tough to do that. And apparently Medford has come up with an alternative. So we're kind of following Medford's lead on this thing. So what happens then, if we take this on, then it's in our, the ball's in our court to start a process. So now that becomes up to us to start that process if we believe there's issues, and there obviously are issues. But for me, I don't really want to go, are you in contact with this is a pretty big thing for us. I would rather, the phone's not working, but I'd rather get a comment from the other council members on.
They will have opportunity at the next council meeting.
Well, I'd like to hear from, can you call each one of them and say, hey, they all have this. They're all prepared to come to this meeting. They're all prepared to act something.
Can we call them on speaker?
I'd like to call them and see what their vote is gonna be on. The first reading still has to be okayed by everybody, right?
Yeah, well, it's just the first reading.
So we're not making the motion, right? The motion
The
happens.
motion comes in the second reading.
Okay.
So, we can call one at a time, and
Well, because this is the big thing that we're doing. We're creating an ordinance, and that's establishing a law. And I think the council, because they wanted to be here, it's technical, that's keeping them from being here. Let's make an effort to try to get their input on.
I agree with you. Upset by what's in the park.
this is Bruce.
Gordon,
Hi, we're still working on the phones, but the mayor has a question for you.
okay, Glenda's on the line with me,
Oh,
on the other line, but yeah.
Okay, so the question, Bruce, is we're looking at the ordinance 452, the first reading. And are you
Do you want me to-
are you in favor of that first reading?
Yes, I am.
Okay, how about Glenda?
I don't know, let me get back to her. I have to put you on hold.
Put me on hold. Yeah, no problem. Okay, and you can try to get hold of Sarah, right?
when we're done with this one, we can.
Yeah. This is how meetings go,
Your Honor.
virus, but we'll still get done before midnight. But we won't be done in 18 minutes.
Hey,
Your Honor. Your Honor.
Yeah.
While we're waiting, can I ask Gordon to answer a question for me?
Sure.
Question is, can you explain to everybody how where the funds come from to do this process? Where it's gonna come out of our budget?
I haven't got that far. We did have a line item for abatement, but we took it out in order to help fund the fire department. There is some funding, flexible funding in the public works areas that I can, depending upon what exactly we're doing and how much we're doing. Should I call Linda?
Yep.
I think he's trying to get her back on the line.
Okay. All right. Well, I'll call Sarah.
Your call has been forwarded to an automatic voice.
Okay. Try Glenda.
Might have to call Bruce back and see if he got her.
So Bruce and Glenda are on the number that we call to call in, right? No?
No, they're just
Oh,
not
they're
here.
just on.
The number we call in is not,
Okay.
because this isn't working.
Hello?
Glenda, Gordon Zimmerman, you're on speakerphone.
Okay, Gordon.
For a minute, the mayor has a question for you.
So Glenda, we're looking at doing the first reading of ordinance 452, providing the regulation and enforcement of chronic nuisance properties. Are you good with the first reading of that?
Yes?
Okay, so yeah, so we're just trying to get from Bruce, so we'll be doing this then. So we maybe getting back to you on something else, because the phone system's not working here, so what we have to do is call you and Bruce, if we have questions about things.
Okay.
So
Stay by your phone.
So stand by, you're not gonna hear us, but stand by, wait for a phone call. I will tell you when we're done.
You can watch us on YouTube Live and watch us call you.
Okay, you wanna try Sarah?
I did, and it did,
You could, oh, that was the one that went to,
yeah.
okay, so you got Bruce and Glenda, and we're not making any kind of motion here, we're just getting is everybody in favor of the first reading, is that what we're doing here?
Yeah, it's just the first reading, we've read it. If there's any changes you want to make,
We're good?
directions you want me to take.
And we've read it because I just read it?
Um,
Or do you wanna read it first? We're just gonna read it by title only.
Bruce?
Yeah, I didn't know if you got that text. Linda said she was okay, but then, I lost her while I was trying to transfer back to your line.
We called her. So stay by your phone. If we need to call you on the other matters, we'll call you back.
Okay, I will.
Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you.
Bye. First reading by title only, an ordinance of the City of Cascade laws providing regulation and enforcement of chronic nuisance property, enumerating chronic nuisance, providing penalties for maintaining a chronic nuisance, and declaring emergency. That last part is to make it effective upon signing so that we can begin the process against several properties in the city.
Okay, so we're good there until the next time? Oh,
So Would the signing be the next city council meeting?
Yes, ma'am, assuming it's approved.
Right.
And then we get the legal attorney on it.
Which we're gonna be open for, citizen input here after, and then we have one more thing to do here. And then we'll have citizen input on any of the items we've actioned on or anything else. So approve Cascade Locks Business Interruption Grant Program.
The CARES Act provided $50,000 through the state of Oregon to the city of Cascade Locks for the coronavirus aid, relief, and economic security. We have identified approximately $10,000 of city funds that can be reimbursed with these CARES funds, which leaves $40,000. We don't anticipate a great deal of more funding for personal protective equipment or anything that's allowable under the costs. Because we are the provider of the electric, water, and sewer utilities, we cannot give this to people who are behind on their bills, because that's revenue replacement and that's specifically prohibited. But we can give it to small businesses in the city if they qualify, 25 or less. They had some interruptions, they had layoffs, they had closures. So I put together this little program where they can apply for a grant, and we can give up to $2,500 grants to businesses in the city that qualify. I need your approval to do this.
Well, let's ask those two first, because they're here trying to be part of the meeting as best they can. They tried to call. So let's get a hold of those two and see what they think about it.
Hey,
Yeah, Bruce, we're looking to approve the Cascade Locks Business Interruption Grant. And, you've read the synopsis and the staff's, report, and their suggestion was to, pay back, what was it, 10 grand, I believe, to emergency, to emergency services, and then, give 40 grand, as grants to businesses under 25. Are you in favor of this?
Yes, I am.
Okay, so now we're gonna let you go, and we're gonna get a hold of Glenda, unless you've got her there. Yeah,
We're getting it in though.
yeah, okay.
I'll stay by the phone.
All right, thanks, Bruce.
Be fine, guys.
We just went past 18 minutes.
it's a worthy goal.
The most efficient meeting we've ever had is right there. Bob ran it. 18 minutes and we were done. And I don't know if everybody heard, but this is a grant that was given to us from the state. It's $50,000 grant the state's given to all communities to use. They need to use it.
Gordon?
Yes,
Yeah.
you're on speakerphone. The mayor has a question.
Okay, let me get off this other phone.
You got a burner phone?
Okay.
Okay, so we're on the next item here, Glenda, which is approved Cascade Locks Business Interruption Grant. And that was that $50,000 grant. We were looking at giving 10 to the emergency services, and then 40,000 would be a grant program to businesses of 25 or less employees in town. Are you in favor of this?
Yes.
Okay, so thank you. That's all we need from you on that one. So we'll be in touch with either. I think most of the stuff is just Gord's report and comments, but we'll get back to you when we're done with the meeting, or if we need you again here. Okay.
Okay, so you want me to hang up on these lines, right?
Yeah, because they're not working.
Yeah, hang up on those lines. They're not working. They tell me.
All right.
Thank you.
All right, bye.
Bye. Okay, so I need a motion, because obviously they're in favor of the motion.
Your Honor, I move to approve the development and funding of the Cascade CARES Business Interruption Grant Program.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to approve development of and funding of the Cascade Lots CARES Business Interruption Grant Program. Questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. And the other two are ayes also.
I don't think we can count their votes.
Why not? Okay, well, I'm good with that.
Because
Anyway, it passes.
it passes.
I'm fine with that. I'm fine with that, and I'm sure they're fine with it. We know how they felt about it, so I'm good with that. Okay. So now we're to the appearance of interested citizens. So anybody want to come on up, state who you are and what you want to talk about? All right.
Mr. Mayor, city council members, and I've been Clapper, I've lived here for 59 years. My gosh. Anyway, what I would like to address is the nuisance. And this nuisance is my backyard neighbor. Now, his playground starts at like 2:30 in the morning. And it goes until about 4, somewhere right in there. It's not every day, but it's probably every other day. So I don't know about you, but it's summertime. I like to have my windows open. I get up at 5 o'clock in the morning and I go to work. This guy has no remorse about nothing. He don't care if he runs through your yard, or your yard. He doesn't matter if he plays his music loud. He doesn't care if they're talking loud, fighting on the front porch, back porch. It just doesn't matter. The second thing I got to know, and I don't know if you guys are part of this or not, but do they have a burn permit?
We pulled the burn permit.
Did you? Okay. Because I was wondering how they got one when they don't have any water on the property.
The burn permit was issued to the neighbor next door, and she frankly lied to the staff.
But I was gonna say, because the neighbor next door is the same person in both houses.
I understand that, but the staff person was not aware of that. When we found out, we sent the fire chief out and pulled the permit.
Perfect, so now what happens? If the fire goes on and I take pictures of it and I call the fire department and they come up my street instead of going to the street where they were asked to go to. So by the time they get to that spot, they've already put the fire out because they've seen the fire truck come up the road. So I just,
Well, we know where it's at.
okay, so I want to make it aware to everybody that's in this council right now.
We are
Okay.
intimately aware.
I want to know what I can do as a citizen to get rid of this guy. Other than,
Don't say. You just have to, every time there's an offense, you have to call. And again,
and who do we call? Do we call the Connor County cops?
Sheriff.
yes,
Which they don't do nothing but.
well,
I mean, it's reported.
it's reported, and
Okay.
that's building their case. And what that does now, when this is, ordinance is passed, I can count those up as instances of the chronic nuisance. Like if this is passed, then we can start the chronic nuisance process. Although I do have to tell you, I think we're gonna have enough information to declare it a chronic nuisance. You're not gonna have to win it.
Perfect.
I would
Sorry.
call in every time there's a problem, so we have got a good,
Absolutely.
Every single time you've got issues, I'd call the police and make sure they make contact with them. Ask for follow-up too.
Absolutely. Thank you for listening.
Thank you for coming.
All right, Nick. All right.
I'm Karen.
Yep.
And I live at the same property as Nick. Nick, unfortunately, is not always there because he works out of town. I'm the fortunate one that gets to deal with the majority of the issues. I have, on multiple occasions, watched Chris and others drop trout and urinate and go to the bathroom. I sit out there and listen to him scream and holler. Just the other day, he got the F you, and what are you looking at? They're jumping over my fence. They're bouncing up on the fence and scaring other people in their own yard. They're cutting through our property, and it's all hours of the night. I have called the county multiple times. It's falling on deaf ears. It's escalating. I can't tell you how many dozens of people are over there. You can watch them go in and out. They're prostituting, they're selling, they're banging, they're doing the works. It's getting bad. And somebody, somewhere, something's going to happen. This has been going on for a few years. I'm done. We're tired. Our neighbors, we listen to it on a nightly basis. They've attacked my neighbor's dog that's trying to protect their property. He's exposed himself to our neighbors who are seasonal. Where does this stop? It's been going on long enough. I feel that all of our complaints that we've called, I've called the city multiple times on the power that's been on over there, the power equipment that I hear running. I know that they have no power. I know that they have no water. I know that they have no sewer, anything. But yet, it continues to go. I don't know, as a city, that you know that they have no water because you shut it off, but yet we issue a permit. That makes no sense to me.
It was an employee that wasn't familiar with the address. We got it taken care of.
I understand. Whatever.
We apologize.
But it's got to stop. Like I said, it's been going for a few years. It's gone from one person living there. There's probably 3 dozen people that are in and out, back and forth, jumping the fence and taking the back way. The police show up. They don't answer the door. There's nothing that we can do. Do you know how many times I've heard that? Multiple times. It's ridiculous. It's falling on deaf ears, and I would like to see something happen in the neighbor's favor instead of theirs.
My turn.
Thanks.
I live in the neighborhood across from Nick and Karen, and numerous times I've called also.
Tell us who you are.
Oh, Cindy.
Thanks,
Mitchell.
Cindy.
I've called numerous times the non-emergency number, specifically on fires that are there. I've taken pictures. The smoke smells so bad that it will wake me up because I have my window open, and it just smells horrible. I've seen them go through Nick and Karen's yard numerous times. It's just very frustrating, and hopefully something will be done. I do have a question in regards to your resolution that you have. Why do you concede to the states?
Because while we have condemnation in the charter, we have to follow the state rules because the state has jurisdiction over that type of activity. If they didn't, again, the process is outlined in state law, and I put the process in the packet for council.
So I appreciate, what you're doing. as far as, the ordinance. Hopefully, it will help, get rid of the issue. But it's not just the one house, it's two houses. And,
We understand.
and my question too is, I was told that when someone calls and the fire department goes out to the residents, that the sheriff's department is supposed to respond also.
We have asked the sheriff's department to respond.
Okay, so is that for both places or just?
Yes.
Okay. Because I don't know that that's happened every time.
I guarantee it hasn't. But it doesn't mean we haven't called.
Yeah, oh, okay.
I mean, we call the sheriff's office just like you guys do, so.
So hopefully something will be resolved.
Well, the ideal thing, and we had a contractor from Hillsborough call in who was working with the property owner to purchase both properties. They're gonna tear down both houses and do it. That's the ideal solution. But the contractor hasn't taken the next step yet, so.
So since the dad died and the daughter is,
Colette has the property.
has she responded in any way to the city?
Yes and no. We're working on it, but no, there's no action's been taken. She did send the contractor over there, and the contractor kicked them off the property, but they didn't stay. I mean, they didn't stay away. So, we're at constant, but not constant. We sent Colette certified letter saying, you gotta do something with this. This will give us the teeth to do something. If she doesn't act, we can go through the court system.
Okay, and my understanding is there are neighbors in neighborhood and on the other street that are in fear of reporting robberies because of more.
I'm sure there is some threatened retaliations.
Yeah.
I guarantee it. We kick them off the property, where are they gonna go?
Is that our?
It may be your problem, yes. But again, if we fence the property and we trespass them off the property,
Well, then why wouldn't they go to jail if they're trespassing?
they could get arrested. How long are they gonna be in for? Again, it's not a perfect solution, but it's what we're gonna have to try.
I appreciate that you're doing something. And totally on a different subject, since I'm here, these cherry trees out here, is there gonna be any kind of maintenance on these trees?
During COVID, we were swamped with all of these different kinds of projects. It's too late in the year to do trimming this year. We'll have to do it next year.
Fall? Is it fall when you trim?
It's in the winter when you trim, when the sap's not running. And we're gonna have to have a professional come out and do it again. We did it a couple of years ago.
But, yeah, I think
All we're able to do this year is just take the basic suckers off. Those cherry trees, as delightful as they are, as pretty as they are, for as short a time as they are very difficult to maintain. So, but again, I think it was 2 or 3 years ago, we spent like $1,200, $1,500 to get somebody to come out and trim them professional. And we're gonna have to do that again.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome, thank you.
I do have another question. In regards to regulator, with no power sewer, are there not any ordinances enforced for not having toiletry or water power?
We sent it to the Department of Public Health, and they sent it back to us and said it's the city's problem. And no, there is no ordinance that you're mandated to have garbage service. You're supposed to have water and sewer service, but if they're not paying their bill, I cannot take the property. I have no authority to take the property. When this passes, We have the authority to take the property as long as there is an abatement procedure or a plan in place. I do not have the authority, the city does not have the authority to take the property, right?
So why are we waiting until now to try to do something?
We have been trying to work with these people for a long time. It took me 6 years to get the 114 Hamlin solved. Because it's property rights. I cannot take the property, period.
All right.
Your Honor, I'm sorry. We're not just talking about blackberries growing
No,
in a yard. This is criminal activity. And I have no idea why we're not getting more police support for some of these other activities. Because it sounds to me like there's been, 30, 40 phone calls on the same addresses with some of these activities that Karen talked about. Those aren't city issues, those are criminal issues.
All I can say is, having experienced not that, but
I've
a
experienced
drug house by me, and I've got another one put up to my neighbors. I've had them around me. And Brenda does not put up with it, so she is, this 10, 15, 20, and she calls every time. She takes license numbers, she sends, and I'm sorry, but all you can do is let the police know, and if they don't do anything, there's nothing you can do about it. And the fact is, they come and they'll talk and and occasionally, because one of the perpetrators has been in jail, and I think was in jail because of actions of the city and neighbors and all that is what helped get, but they come back out of jail and right back into doing the same thing. So
Tom,
it's tough.
I called
Yeah.
the county
Yeah.
multiple times. They won't answer the door, the cops leave.
Yeah. So
That's why I'm frustrated.
well, and we've been frustrated forever with everybody around us, and Brenda's frustrated. But yeah, I don't know how I get a policeman to do it. I mean, they eventually do things, but it's on small scales. It's an issue that goes on absolutely everywhere in every county and every town, and it overwhelms. It has overwhelmed the police departments trying to do that. It overwhelms the jails. This issue has overwhelmed everything, and because you're helping move this thing ahead. We're hoping this is something that's going to help move it ahead. Because we were looking at condemnation. We decided, well, first we were looking at doing the same thing you're doing. Just let the police know, let the proper authorities know, and they're going to help us out with this. And it never happened.
Caldwell's house should be condemned, but they're out there, they're built stairs.
What's
They're
that?
built upstairs. Caldwell's house?
Yeah.
That should have been condemned years ago.
Sure.
They built stairs going up to the upstairs, outside, with no power.
But again, the general feel in Oregon, as a state, is they do not like, because even in your case, anybody, is once you start, people believe that once you start down this condemnation thing, who's going to start driving this, and are you going to get condemned for something because somebody doesn't like something? That's what everybody worries about. This is a perfect thing that should be condemnation, but people worry that once you start down this road, that it starts happening to everybody for a wide variety of things. So we're trying to keep it within the realm of what the issue really is, and we're trying to zero in and tighten up what the issue is going to be. That follows those kind of things that obviously should be condemned, something should be done about.
We appreciate it. We really do.
Well, it's a tough world, and I thank you guys for helping drive us ahead on this, because I believe we've tried, but the fact that you kept alerting us, and we keep staying on top, attempting to see what's going on here and how we do take care of this. This is the next step we're trying to do. And hopefully this works for us. But part of it is exactly what Gordon is doing. Gordon he stays as best he can on top of these things. The same one out here by Sunset. I mean, Glenda Groves is not like something like this going in her backyard. She had it in her backyard, and she fought and fought, and she was a council member, couldn't get anything going until Gordon was able to get somebody to acquire the land, buy the land from, make some connection with the owner. He knows who the owners are. He can find, you start finding anybody who's somebody looking for land. You give them these names of these owners and saying, hey, here's some land. We'd like you to acquire.
Needles and everything all over.
What's that?
What about all the contamination? Paying for all that?
Well, whoever ends up owning the land's gonna, and again, you can go after the owner, the original owner of everything always winds up with, having to pay something. But if somebody doesn't pay and they don't have anything to give you, that's how some people live, is going, I've got nothing. You can't get nothing from me, so, you would have to do it. I would have to do it, because we've got enough money that they're going, hey, we're taking that from you. But if you got somebody that doesn't have anything, yeah, you can't take it from them, so that they can mess with you on it. Yes. Cindy.
What about the health department? Are they not, have they?
They're so swamped right now with COVID, they're not doing anything else. But we've approached them before, and they're not willing to come inside the city limits. It's a county health department, and they're gonna stay outside the county. It's not like we contract with the Hood River County Sheriff, but that's not part of the health department.
And yes, your county taxes should cover them coming down doing something for it. They're certainly here for me on the boat. They're here to tell me everything I gotta do on the boat. That comes from Hood River County Health Department.
Well,
Is in town telling me what to do with my job, but they're gonna pick and choose. I'm sorry. They pick and choose what they're gonna.
Because we didn't have a legitimate condemnation proceeding, they are gonna come in. They may have been able to help us with this. We can at least define what the chronic nuisances are.
and I don't mean this to sound, but if it was an orchardist or somebody and they were not supplying sewer and water and whatever else to workers, wouldn't there be immediate?
I can't answer that.
To me, it's like a double standard.
Well, I would say if anything comes from this, if they're gonna say you do have to supply it for them. I mean, that's, people when it's winter time and things like that, where if they can't, if they need water in order to be able to stay healthy, or they need sewer to build, somebody's gonna come in and say, you give that to them. I mean,
That's their that's their choice of life. Yeah.
I'm just saying that from the health end and from the end of how things operate in our state, is they try to help out people who they consider down and out, and we see it as a nuisance. Some people see it as somebody down and out, and they
Being down and out does not excuse party until dawn.
I
different.
get that. I get that.
Down and out, have to afford drugs
I
and
don't, I think we're,
alcohol and cigarettes, if we're down and out.
And that's what we're gonna do here. We're taking the step. We're taking a step, we're gonna go to the nuisance, we're gonna start falling down this lane here.
can the sheriff come to a meeting and explain?
He's been here.
He's been here
Well, get him here again, and folks that live next door can ask him what the hell's going
Can
on.
I say something?
Let me get Jules here first.
I really appreciate you guys coming in and saying something. I experienced it not last winter, but the winter before. It had started escalating pretty badly, but not to the degree that you guys have it right now, because it was not that bad yet. I do see it. I did see it every day when I was working. I've seen fights out in the road, women getting hit, chasing the men back with weapons of some sort. People need to just continually call over and over. I feel really bad for you guys still having to be next door. I loved house sitting where I was house sitting. It was a beautiful house. I would never want to live next door to that. I don't know how anybody would come in and buy a piece of property there. I do know there's neighbors that have come and talked to me personally about it that don't feel comfortable talking publicly about it. You guys are really brave for doing that, and I appreciate it.
You're in the worst, you've got the worst one going on, I think.
Well,
I'll
the
tell you
cops
that.
even told me that. They apologized up and down that I'm so sorry that you're me. I'm so sorry you're, but they won't.
Yeah, well, Fred,
So on this subject, but not necessarily that house, I live across the street from a drug house and I have for 11 years. And I've made it known to our sheriff, and I've actually had the drug task force out at my house. I've offered up my guest bedroom where they could set cameras up, and I even furnished their coffee so they could get whatever they need to get this stopped. I find that whenever I have a business in downtown Cascade Locks, they don't have a problem coming to me for noise, you know, because my speaker's too loud or whatever, but they won't come and do anything. I was told, and I couldn't even believe it, by a sheriff, that Matt English, he is elected official, that he is an elected official, and that as people of the public, we can't even talk to him. And I have actually tried. I drove up to the river and tried to talk to him. And that's what they told me. So I would say that Matt English needs to show up here, and either he gets his guys to do something, or else people change their vote. You know, because this is ridiculous, and making excuses. This was going on way before COVID. This is increased, and it's gonna really increase, and wait till these houses blow up, because they're making and manufacturing and doing all this. And then it will be too late. These little things won't matter, but there's many places in town, but this problem at that top of the hill has been going on a long, long time. And why are they getting a burn permit? Burn ban's been since July 1st. I know that, I have a burn permit. I know I can't even exercise.
This is what earlier.
they haven't burned for a while, I don't think, have they?
Well, I called, I don't know, a couple weeks ago, 3 weeks ago. It's because they know that nothing's gonna happen, and that's the problem with a lot of things these days, is nothing's gonna happen. But the guys that do follow the rules and do take care of their homes and everything, we have to abide by it. I got threatened with a big fine because I didn't have garbage service at my house.
Me too.
You know, I had to prove that I use my garbage down at my business, you know? I mean, I would never think not to have water and sewer, like. I think
Okay,
this is
well,
terrible.
Okay, well, okay.
I get it.
We get it. We're gonna start moving on here though,
Yeah.
but same thing, you know, hold our feet to the fire on this. You know, we haven't passed this yet. Once we pass this, hold our feet to the fire, get the ordinance, take a look at it, and then hold our feet to the fire on it. That's, you know, just as you need to call the sheriff, you need to hold our feet to the fire on what we're doing on this attempt that we're trying to do for nuisance engines. Because if we're gonna do an ordinance, then let's follow through on it. But, yeah,
But
anyway.
tell me, we should hold our sheriff to.
Well, yeah,
this,
that too, but hold our feet to the fire here too on this thing. Ouch. Not too hot of a fire.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're gonna move on here, reports and the presentation. City committees,
You have the sheriff's report.
yeah, it's a long report here too.
Yeah.
Is that,
I don't know why they labeled it this way. Usually they give us a summary, but now
Yeah.
they sent us-
yeah,
they're
they
trying to-
laid it on us this time. Okay, that's it for that?
That's it.
And we had the tourism committee report in
I
that too,
picked
right?
up what's in there.
Oh, that's in here, okay. City Administrator's Irma's report.
Well, thank you. Again, the reminders, we're open for essential business. If you have business at City Hall, please call, make an appointment. or if, and again, you can pay your bill either online, mail us a check, like you guys used to do, or dropping your payment at the drop box. Again, the COVID rules, stay home, stay safe if you can. Last week, Rose Dominguez, our utility billing clerk, lost her husband. His funeral service is tomorrow, and we extend prayers and condolences to her and her family. City council elections, we'll have one mayoral position and 3 city council positions. Glenda, Bruce, and Bob are open for their third election. Packets for the potential candidates are available from Kathy Loosley. They're also available on our website and must be returned to the city by 5 o'clock on August 21st. We have had 2 candidates file, but unfortunately they're new citizens, and we're happy to see them file, but the charter says they have to be residents of the city and registered voters of the city 1 year before the election. One missed it by 3 days, the other missed it by 3 weeks, so they're not eligible to serve on the council yet. The Tourism Committee met on August 3rd. After reviewing the budget and looking at the pandemic situation and the potential revenues in the future, the committee made the following decisions. We're going to keep Andy Van Domelen, the staff support contractor, on for only 5 hours a week to maintain the tourism website and Facebook pages. We're going to maintain our relationships with the chambers in the Gorge, the West Columbia Chambers Committee, and Hood River Chamber. We're going to keep the advertising at the kiosk in Paloma Falls because we don't want to lose that position. It's right there, the first thing you see when you come out of the tunnel. They're going to roll over the grant for PCT days this year that was canceled, and we're going to favorably consider that for next year. And we're not going to do any brochure distribution for the remainder of this year. It doesn't make sense to put brochures out there and invite people to come, and when we really don't want them to come at this point. And with those decisions made, the Tourism Committee adjourned until next January. The committee will, in the meantime, however, do some protective sealant on the PCT monument. Notified today that the State Historic Preservation Office has approved the archaeologist's finding of no adverse effect for both the above ground and below ground of our electric upgrade project. The project is now in the EDA's legal department for review, and then when they hopefully, they haven't brought us this far to turn us down. So that's the $3 million project to acquire the substation and rework the circuitry so that we can use both the BPA substation and the Cascade Lock substation, the Pyramid substation, and do the undergrounding in the business park. So that is really good news that they approved that. Again, we're on YouTube. Sometimes we're on the phone, and like and share us on Facebook.
All right, thank you. Mayor, City Council comments. Let's call, because they've been hanging around, let's ask for a comment from Bruce and from Glenda before we get to go through ours. Give them an opportunity to make a comment, even though they weren't. Or maybe something they want to talk about.
Hello?
Hi, Bruce. Gordon, you're on speakerphone. It's time for mayor and council comments.
Oh. Well, I think I'm good, but thank you.
Hey, let him know that he can go now.
You can go
Appreciate the
now.
opportunity.
You can go watch football or something.
We're
Okay.
done, we're gonna be done.
We're done.
Hold it, one thing. Are you still there, Bruce?
Yes.
Yeah, just so you know that, we had some citizens, here this evening over the,
Chronic nuisance ordinance.
yeah, the chronic nuisance. And, we're neighbors that were having some problems, really having some problems with some people. So just so you know that, there were some citizens' concerns, about the nuisance, not the ordinance, but, the nuisances. So they appreciate that, we're moving ahead with this.
Well, yeah, I mean, we gotta do what we can, and if people are obviously in the wrong, we should have some way to rectify that. So, yeah, I think it's a good idea.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you, and you guys have a good rest of the evening.
Thanks. Should I try Glenda's? Let's try her cell phone. Hi, Glenda, you're on speakerphone. It's mayor and council comments.
I don't have any comments.
Okay, mayor.
Okay, so before you go, I just want to let you know that on the chronic nuisance, we had some citizens here tonight that were neighbors of some of these nuisances, and they expressed their concerns. So they're glad that we're moving ahead with this ordinance, just so you know that. Did you hear that?
Not much.
Okay, I'll tell you later.
Thanks, Brenda, we're done.
All right.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. That doesn't always work. Comments?
I really appreciate people coming in. I never realized how hard of a process it was until I lived next door to a nuisance, not lived, but stayed next door to it. I did similarly to what Brenda did, and in, asking for some people to come and watch, and nothing ever came of it. I understand that the police need to do their jobs as well, but it's sort of gotten to the point where you're not looking for a bigger fish anymore. You're just letting the pond get really big. So I'm glad people are stepping up and asking for help on that, and I hope that we can fix that. I would also like to open the conversation up to having our station captain become our fire chief. I believe he's been doing the roles of fire chief. I think he deserves the title of fire chief. He's done a ton for our town. He moved here, his family's here, he's gotten tons of volunteers. He communicates well with citizens. I think he deserves it. We don't ask for mutual aid very often at all. We're giving mutual aid. Every time I listen to the scanner and there's a big event or even some small events and they're sitting at the station, they realize, things are getting bad for Hood River and they're going out to a lot of different areas. They go and stage at Vanto to go help them so we can give mutual aid. We do mutual aid across the river now. I don't even know the last time I saw Scabinia County over in Cascade Locks. I know every once in a while they do come, or, because they have to, but I think he deserves it.
So yeah, I would agree with that. I don't know where we did this before. One of the,
I've always assumed that that was gonna happen.
well, the eventual is we asked him to become a paramedic and we make him the chief. But the fact is, he's been working so hard building this department and doing the things he's doing with the department. He hasn't had as much time, but we do have he has established a good group of paramedics and EMTs for us. And I'm in favor of it also. I agree with rules that we should do. So if we can get an okay with everybody on here, I personally believe, and I could ask you guys whether you believe that too. I believe that Glenda and Bruce would be in favor of voting to chief. Where are you at on that, Bob?
I'm okay with it.
Okay. Well, I'm okay with it, you're okay with it? You're okay with it? Do we,
Would you like to have an action item on the next council meeting so that when everybody can.
Okay.
I think everybody needs.
okay, sounds good,
Yeah.
let's do that.
That way everybody has it now.
Has a, all right, sounds good.
Sorry.
All right, thanks. Did you have anything else there, Jules?
I don't.
Richard?
Yes, speaking of the fire and EMS service, I just want to give a gigantic shout out because of the extra mile they have to go through to deal with COVID and all the using personal protective gear and all that. And imagine by now a lot of the medical services are probably getting kind of used to that lifestyle now. But if I was going to give an award right now to somebody, I think everybody knows who that would be, without saying it in public. And that would be that man sitting right there in the blue suit. I just want to let you know that people in the community highly appreciate the great effort that you put into the fire department. It really says a lot.
Thank you.
Says a lot about your dedication, and that's an achievement. So if I had an achievement medal, I'd pin it on you.
Give you participation.
So, yeah, I think that's it. I think I'm okay.
You're done?
Yeah, just a second. I think I will make
Oh.
a comment about
Go
what
ahead.
we were talking about with the chronic nuisance.
Yeah.
That I feel their pain because I've been through similar situations like that, and it's just the danger that a lot of people take in consideration when you're dealing with situations like that is retaliation. Because if you start pushing on people like that, you risk them retaliating, whatever that may be. But it happens, unfortunately. So I just caution people to be careful, confronting people and pushing them too hard, and let us try to deal with it. And I really feel people's frustration because I've just been kind of awestruck about how we just can't do anything. It's just like, really? that just doesn't make any sense. So anyway, persevere, hang in there, people, and maybe eventually hopefully we can take care of this situation. The only problem I have with it is that, unfortunately, it looks like, especially in the environment that we're in today, that it could continue and it could get worse, especially because of our proximity to Portland. And that's why we should be come together as a community whenever we can. Watch out for your neighbors. Neighborhood watches and such. I know we've talked about all this stuff in the past, and it just seems like it's things that we could do just hasn't really happened yet. So that's all I have.
Okay, thanks. Bob?
Yeah, tagging on to about Captain Logan, amazing job. I haven't been in the department for a long time, but that in the last 20 years has been a real hotbed. You're really on the firing line. And folks have been very verbal on both sides of the fire department. And for you to do what you've done since you came on that's a great job. I appreciate it. I'm looking at the reports of police calls, and I see that the property that we were speaking about earlier was visited twice in a month. I wouldn't call that
Can I make a comment? They're catching them on Wanapa doing stuff too. The people that are at that house, so they'll start fighting up at the house,
Okay,
take it down to like where the post office area is. That's where the police will get called, and that's where I think the call will come to. So some of the ones on Wanapa could be related, most likely are related to that as well.
well, that makes me understand it even less, because this isn't a nuisance, it's criminal what's going on, and there is so much that can go wrong, especially if they've got no water service and they're burning. I hope the neighbors continue to call the police, and we'll move forward with the job the council has to do, and hopefully it'll help alleviate the situation. The trouble is that I've seen these looking from the outside in the past that the city had to do. And it takes a lot of time, and it takes a lot of funds to pay for lawyers and jump through all the hoops. So it's not going to happen overnight. Even if when we do pass this, and it gives you another tool in the toolbox, it wouldn't surprise me if it's 2 years, 3 years. You mentioned you had one before you worked on for 6 years.
Yep.
And this is going to be one of those possibly that's going to take quite a while. Hopefully the buyer will go through the property. So we're hoping. I want to tell everybody that continue to be aware of your surroundings and to protect yourself and your family. School's coming up here with about another month. Hopefully, in my opinion, they should expand the study at home and the online stuff. Numbers are just all over the place, and I don't think we've seen the worst of it yet. So wash your hands, wear your mask, keep your distance, and if we can just do those 3 things, it makes a huge difference. And, stay safe out there.
Thank you. Yeah, I'd just like to thank the fire captain, for all, again, same thing for all you've done for the community. That's, I appreciate the council that I've been on here, because we've really made, and you've all seen it, we've gone down, we've gone up, but I think right now we're on we've got a power crew, we've got a EMS fire crew, and there was a time we didn't have any of that. So that speaks highly of the council. It speaks highly of our staff on how they've worked things. And I think the issues with the ultimately, I believe Gordon believes, and I believe with that, ultimately these issues is trying to outreach to the owners of properties and convince them to sell that property to a developer and get it into better hands. And I think that's where this process working on. I think that's a worthy process. I think that's the best way. And you say it's going to take a long time. The quickest time it's going to happen is to let them know we're putting the heat on. It's going to cost you money. You're going to be a lot further ahead if you find yourself a developer. And frankly, we'll do all we can to help you find one. And so I think Gordon's on the right track on all this. I think I agree that we're heading into potentially tougher times. So it's very important, I think, to establish what we've established. And I think that as we keep working ahead with this, and I think Gordon's taking the right lead. I think a lot of people are going to look at that as a lead of going, that's how to handle this. is put the pressure on, but along with that, give them an out. That's what he works at. He works at, what can we do here to help them find an out on this? And then part of that is, you know, finding a potential developer that can help them not lose so much money from a property that is basically failing on them in value. But I also wanted to thank Larry Goldman. I saw that the streets and all that kind of go to heck here on us. Downtown kind of going to heck. And Larry had left our employment. He wasn't going to work this summer, and all of a sudden I saw the streets getting all cleaned up. And I'm going, oh, all right, Gordon, you're right on top of it. Well, then there was Larry. Larry's out there just going at it. It didn't take long at all before our town looked very presentable down there, and that was a lot of that was done by Larry Goldman. So I really appreciate what Larry did. But the last time I talked to Larry, again, he won't be back next summer. He wasn't going to be there this summer, but he came, saved the day, and. Yeah, is that what it's about? Okay. Well, he said he won't be back next summer, but who knows? He has, his employment with us has been very valuable to our community and keeping it looking good. He's done a great job. So I want to thank him for that too. And that's it for me. So other matters? None. Executive session? None. Okay. I'm up for adjournment.
Your Honor, I make a motion, we adjourn.
Second.
We move to second adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we're at 17 minutes.
An hour and 18.
We're at 17.